Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we're going to have a roundtable discussion with Z from Reign of Z, Matt from Chemical Empire, and Nate from Theriaca.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, and our discussion today is roadblocks musicians have to overcome in the music industry. And I looked up like a definition on like gatekeeping too. So I just want to just read some of the definitions I found. Controlling and limiting general access to something. The activity of trying to control who gets particular resources, power, and opportunities and who does not. And controlling access to an audience. So, does anybody want to go first?
We're going to be on here for like 6 hours, Randy. but,
Well, I can say that gatekeeping in the industry, it goes on all forms, everything from like the local level all the way up to the national level. So I mean, just like for an example, like that I've ran into is like when you get into certain cities like that you're trying to work yourself into, if you're not acclimated within that specific scene, um, you can definitely get hit roadblocks trying to get into specific venues because some venues have, their friends bands play there all the time, or that has to do with a lot of promoters too. Like developing relationships is definitely very important in every size of the scene. If you don't develop a relationship with the promoter or the venue, then yeah, you can definitely be gatekeeped in that area for sure. I've hit that before in the cities. I'm not gonna, well, I will say this one right here, Wheeling. Wheeling can definitely be kind of gatekeepy if you don't have certain friends within that area to get in that area. If they don't like you, then they won't have you, and that's like that in every city.
So, so I have a thought on that. And does anybody ever think that, I mean, not think, but obviously there's going to be two sides to this, right? Because a bar is, and what you said is true. Like, I'm sure that, if they're close to you, that maybe you get a few more hookups or whatever. But, it's a business. And so at the end of the day, they just want to bring people in the door. So I almost wonder, how many bands, and I'm not talking about you because I don't know about your band, but like how many bands that won't bring anybody in the door, and don't have a following, or maybe their songs aren't really that good, are online claiming to be victims of gatekeeping.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've seen a lot of bands use gatekeeping as like a way to boost their numbers for sure. Actually, I saw a band do that at Rockfest not too long ago. There was a band on stage, and in between every single song, all they did was talk about how we're independent, we've done this ourselves, we did this ourselves, everybody screwed us over, and look at where we are now. And it's like, you're obviously using that as a way to get sympathy from the people that you're playing in front of. So, yeah, I definitely see that for sure.
But does that even work though? You know, I kind of feel like that would backfire on them a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, people that know better, yeah.
so if I may, I do kind of do a speech relative to what you both are talking about. But I don't do it from a place of whining. I do it as a place of education. Because Rain is Z is 100% independent. So that means, you know, we work our jobs, we go on tour, we come home and work our jobs, we rinse and repeat. And I always say in our premise, we didn't win the sperm lottery. Um, I always say that we don't have a big financial backer because we don't. And I always tell the audience, I said, if you look to the left, you look to the right, you look to the front, and you look to the back, you are the ones that are keeping independent bands alive. But I always try to, and you guys are obviously welcome to have your thoughts about it, but I do it as a place of education because I meet so many people on the national touring circuit that they don't understand how the industry works, or they have a misconception where they're like, oh, well, you're just wealthy. And I'm like, you're funny. Um, so I started to actually implement this at our shows, and it actually has gone very positively and actually has increased our merch sales. And even when we get home, people will message us and be like, hey, what can we do, you know, to help your band out? So I don't know that band that you're referring to, Nate, and maybe it was more of a ploy because we've been on tour with bands that are like, we're independent. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're signed to a label. You're not independent.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the difference, like when someone's being genuine and when they're using it as a marketing ploy for sure. That was not like I've seen you guys 100 times live and I've heard that speech and you can definitely tell it comes from the heart when you say it. And you don't say it every other like in between every song. You know what I'm saying? Like that's you can definitely tell the difference.
Yeah, I think that the tone is different where he's saying that they're bitching about things and you're out there actually you're just thanking people for the support. It's very different.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge difference between that. Yep, for sure.
Trust me, we've been on tour with bands like that, and I'm just like, I'm gonna be in the corner and I'm gonna be quiet.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between gatekeeping and being professional, if that makes sense. Like, I've been, I've heard like rumors and stuff about like my own personal band too, of like, oh, well, they won't have us play they won't have us play on their shows and blah blah blah. And it's like some,
Aren't those fun? I love to know like what I'm doing.
yeah, a lot of that has to do with, you know, like when we put on our own specific shows where we headline, like we make it a point to make sure that every band on that bill is a quality band. That's it, quality band. We've never really cared much about numbers or anything like that. We always care about, will this band be good on stage? And a lot of time, so like if a band gets a hold of us and they want to be on a specific bill that we have, you know, playing, we do these like we do these bring back live events back home, which is like in the Ohio Valley area. And like we've had bands hit us up and want to play on those shows, and we're fine with having anybody and everybody on as long as you're good and have quality entertainment and content that we can promote. If you don't have that and I say no, then a lot of times bands can take that as gatekeeping, and it's not gatekeeping whatsoever. Like he like what what's your name again? Chen. I'm sorry. Matt. Okay. Just like Matt said earlier, it's a business, man. What you want you it, first and foremost, it's always gonna if you don't look at this as a business, then you're doing it for fun, and that's great and that's fine. And I do it for fun, but it's also a business. So gatekeeping and professionalism can both go hand in hand and be conscrewed and confused between the two.
Right. And they're also looking for people who are working their asses off around the clock. You know, you have to, you can't obviously dedicate all of your time to it because you have to work, you know, to pay for it. But outside of work, if you're not grinding and if you're not putting yourself out there and reaching out and networking and making connections, as many as possible, doing anything you can to just stand out, you know? There's so many artists out there all doing the same thing. What's going to set you apart? And if these people go out there and they make like one Facebook post inviting their friends, and then you know what I usually see is they get mad at their friends for not sharing all their posts and stuff. It's like, well, dude, these people aren't your friends because they want to, be your PR. You have to grind, and you have to just, you're going to be sad sometimes and you're going to be excited sometimes. And a lot of people don't want to put the work in, but then get mad and complain and look for excuses when things aren't going their way.
Exactly.
I think as far as Nate, to touch on your point about gatekeeping, I think it's been 50-50 for us. We've toured with some bands that I'd be like, hey, how, well, even you guys have been wonderful. Like, hey, Nate, how do you do these sponsored ads? I don't know how to do that. Can you show me? And you've been very gracious and, talked me through it. There's been other bands where I'm like, oh, hey, I noticed that you had a lot of response on your I don't know, Spotify campaign. What company did you use? And it's like radio silence. Or gatekeepy about their entertainment lawyer, or oh, who's your management team, or who's your booker. I've had a lot of bands kind of go radio silent. And I get both sides of the coin, because on one hand, it's very dog eat dog. But the one thing that I've personally learned, just my experience heavily touring for 3.5 years, is I've become such good friends with a lot of the bands that we toured with, to the point where I can call Tina from Beautiful Skeletons and say, hey, Tina, can you design this flyer for me? I don't have time. Sure, Z, no problem. She'll call me and be like, hey, can you, I don't know, send me a box of chocolate? FYI, Berg owns a chocolate factory, the bass player. He's not independently wealthy. but but just to kind of do that bartering system. And I feel like sometimes you catch more bees with honey. And my rule of thumb has been in business: if you burn me once, I know, and then you're here. Do you know what I mean? So people are kind of gatekeepy about their contacts and the way that they achieve in their minds success. But I don't really know nowadays what success looks like in the music industry, because it's so different for so many different people. So that was my little. You guys are welcome to comment if you think that's gatekeepy or not. I mean, I have no problem being corrected. I'm here to learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've run into that before too, like someone asking, you know, where'd you get this contact? Where'd you get that contact? And I can see where some people can see that, like, not giving that information as like gatekeepy. But 9 times out of 10, if you're not an asshole, that person's going to help you out. So a lot of times when someone's not giving you the information that you want, it's because you're an asshole.
Okay, I guess I'm an asshole. No. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You asshole.
Yeah. No, 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 no. No. You know exactly what I mean though, right? Yeah, like there are a lot of musicians, and this goes with every business. Like there's a lot of times where someone's gonna be like, well, I did this on my own, you need to do it on your own. You know what I mean? There's people that have that attitude, and that's the way they want to approach things, and that's fine. But the way I've always approached it is, if someone ever wanted any kind of information from me when it comes to like how I booked this show or how I did this, like if I genuinely like you as a person, then I'm gonna help you as much as I can. You know what I mean?
Some people, it's like politics, you know? Because I feel like some people who you would go to for help, you kind of have to stroke their ego a little bit to get them to want to do anything for you, which is sort of a weird thing. Let me give you an example. I don't want to like drop names or anything, but so somebody who I hire to do something for me, right? I feel like if I don't kiss their ass and make them feel good about what they're doing, then they won't give me their best effort. which ultimately affects my final product, you know? And it feels weird and it feels kind of dirty because it's like, man, like, do I really have to do this, you know? But you kind of do if that's what you're trying to get. And you can like work with other people, but I mean, if the end product is what you like or what you want, then you kind of have to do that. It's like politics, and it kind of sucks. And that's kind of a thing too. Is that gatekeeping? You know, like if somebody, say somebody who, oh man, hard to say. I don't want people to see it and make connections, but somebody does a service for you, and they do the same thing that you do, but they want to be like the alpha dog, and maybe you are a little better at it, but you still need their service. So they don't really go out of their way to help you beyond that service. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to get into specifics. Like, okay, here's an example. Who mixes your songs? Who does your studio work? You know, you have somebody who does your studio work, right? Or do you guys do it yourself?
We don't. We don't.
So you okay, yeah. So somebody does it for you. Do they play in bands?
No, they are strictly producers.
Okay. So do you feel like if they played in a band, that would be a conflict of interest?
I don't think we'd be a priority.
It would be like gatekeeping if your songs were better than theirs.
I see where you're getting. Yeah.
Okay, I see where you're going. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yep. And it kind of sucks. And not I'm not saying that's what my situation is, but I'm just saying.
He's not saying, but he's saying, No.
Yeah, it's the politics, it's the everybody out there. The industry has become so hard to do anything with. Like where you're saying, I don't even know if I'm successful. Like where you really can't tell, you know? And how much do you spend per song in the studio? Just for one song, right?
Enough to probably like fund a hospital. Like I feel like at this point.
Yeah. And when you throw that up on like Spotify, you never get your money back.
No. No, we're t-shirt salesmen for sure.
Yes, 1000%.
So when it comes to a business, when you're treating it like a business, you're looking for your return on investment, right? So these days, there's no return on investment on your singles, aside from this is your marketing to come out to your shows, right? But I mean, some people are spending like what, like 10 grand or something on a song. Are you going to make that back at your shows? You know, where they're like, hey, your song sounds like a $1,000 song. So we don't like it because everybody else has a $7,000 song, you know, where now we're nitpicking at the quality, even though the industry has made it to where we can all record cheaply in our home studios or whatever. And really, that's sort of, for a lot of people, that's the ideal way to do it, because if you can't do that, you can't afford to do anything else, and therefore you can't really even bother with music outside of just doing it for fun with your buddies, you know.
Well, I think that to touch what you're saying, and I think you nailed it right on the head. Nate, I don't know if you deal with this or maybe yourself, but it takes us so long to release a single because we have to go home and work to get money to release a single, because we don't only do that, then we pair it with a tour. And then we have to do sponsored ads and run it for 4 to 5 months to even just keep our numbers semi attractive on Spotify. So when people come to me, I'm such a smart ass. People come to me, they're like, "How do we get more music?" I'm like, "You are welcome to Venmo me the cost for what it costs." And that's why I always am very. I'm never condescending to the average public, but I always try to educate them because I'm like, look, when you do this on your own, you have to literally save up the capital because it's not just like you can't just release, let's just say you spend $2,500 for a single. Okay. You can just put it out there and that's fine. But if you want to actually have a shot at getting it heard and it looking attractive online, you have to put ads behind it. So I think people don't have that mindset. And poor Berg and he always says like he lost his hair because of Renaissance. Because we literally budget out maybe a single or two a year to have the capital to make it what you were saying lucrative or attractive to people.
Now, let's ask ourselves, is that gatekeeping? Because the people who decide what songs get heard are the people making money off of it. They're working hand in hand with the studios, right? And the studios know that the normal musician can't afford to do $10,000 recordings for every single, right? But they're going to come to you with the money, and the trade-off is they're going to lock you into some shitty contract where they're the ones who, they make all the profits. So is this gatekeeping? Like this is how they trap everyone so that they can keep what they're doing sustainable?
Berg said it's preying on artistry. That's what he said.
Yeah, most streaming websites are definitely, I would say, companies like Spotify and stuff like that are definitely gatekeeping for sure. If you think about it, I mean, Spotify is a public.
Hey, not to interrupt. With Spotify, Spotify does not care. Spotify pays a certain rate, and as per an interview with the owner of Spotify, where you can find it if you Google it, he said if artists don't like what I'm paying, well then they don't have to use my service. So he's just putting a platform out there. Access to information. You guys are talking about access to information. Like us as independent musicians, we grind our fucking asses off and we all work together. Now, some people, yes, if I give you a contact, it doesn't work out. That's not my problem. It's like I may have gotten results from it, but you may use the same service, and I don't get it. What the thing is about gatekeeping is accessing to a larger scale, a larger reach of people, and how do we do that without being financially
Sound.
sound in that? Whereas now, if you go and look at concert series that come through this tri-state area, you have all of these people that who goes out to these concerts, like you're talking about the 80s people that are still going and still making great money to this day. Nothing new is breaking through, but what do you do? How do you do that? Do you continually grind and grind and grind until your body's left to dirt? Or do you find a way in? Do you find a small label? But in the state of the economy right now, how many labels are actually really pushing that aren't pushing country, which is hot right now, or other forms of music? You know what I mean?
Thank you, Berg.
Sorry.
I mean, anybody's welcome that he threw a lot at you, and I'm sorry.
Nate, did you have what were you gonna say, Nate?
To touch on like companies like Spotify, yeah, they he did say that he just created a platform. If you don't like what I'm paying, then that's fine. But I'm talking about the amount of numbers that can be spread on Spotify. Like it's a publicly traded company. So if you look into who actually owns most of the shares of a company like Spotify, I mean, a lot of these labels own major, stake in these companies. So that's why you're seeing, smaller bands. It's hard for them to break into Spotify without having to pay to get their music out there to exuberance amount of people because we just don't have the ability to do that. It gets choked a lot, if that makes sense.
Well, and I think to touch on what you're saying, Nate, I I don't want to name people because I love and respect them, but somebody that's close to our camp that's in a very high position basically sat Berg and I down and said, if you have X amount of capital, you could just literally break into the industry. He said it's nothing but a money game. Um, and that was so disheartening. But also somebody like himself who's in the game with big players. Um, I mean, he's right. And it's, so, you know, our formula is to do the old school way. We go release a single, we tour, we rinse and repeat and just hope, things keep climbing. But that was a real big jolt for me. If he's like, yeah, if you have a $50,000 radio campaign, you're going to be successful. Like, that's not even some people's income in the year. Like, that's just like,
Yeah, it's all about money. The gatekeeping money.
and politics, from what Chris said. Yeah. It's from what he said, it's political. Yeah. I mean, because what do? You put money behind politicians.
You're basically lobbying your own music.
You want me to talk now?
Randy, you do whatever you want. It's your show.
uh, do you guys want to talk about tour buy-ons or pay to play on the radio or anything like that?
You mean like parlaying, like paying to have your music played on the radio?
Yeah.
Isn't that illegal?
It is, but there's loopholes.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's why.
Why is that illegal? Just I don't know why. I never heard that.
I remember. I think it was back in maybe the '50s or so. They made it a law where you couldn't pay to have your music played on the radio unless it was directly related to like a commercial, not just like actually playing your song on the radio. But it still happens.
I was just gonna say I can actually ask my cousin because he's an entertainment lawyer, so I could probably get you like the actual textbook definition as to why that's quote not legal, but there's loopholes.
Yeah, at the time, I know when they made that law, at the time it was because there was only, you know, at that time there was only like a handful of artists or record labels that were having their music played on the radio, and it was because the labels had funding to pay the radio stations to play that music. And to make it more fair in the market, they made that illegal so that anybody and everybody had an opportunity to have their music played on the radio.
That's why a lot of people, you know, you can do radio campaigns, but we've been told time and time again from labels, management, entertainment lawyers, if you don't have significant amount of capital, and I mean like 20,000 or over, they're like, don't even waste your time. And yes, you can do set for terrestrial radio. You can also do secondary radio, but you're still gonna have to invest.
Secondary doesn't pay.
Oh, they don't pay royalties.
I don't believe so.
Berg said secondary radio doesn't pay royalties, so it's kind of like you're shooting yourself in the foot.
So when an artist like the story of Jelly Roll, where they are independent for a long time and they build up their socials, and I'm pretty sure he blew up on YouTube before he was ever signed, so that when the day came that he did get signed, he made the stipulations and he called the shots and got himself a good contract. And it makes you wonder, did he have to pay all that money on the way up, or was he just like a content creator from home, or you know what I mean? Like, you don't always have to pay that if you got the talent, you know what you're doing, you're self-taught and you're ambitious and you grind, and maybe you take a different route. It was just something different. It could have also been maybe that was just, artists started breaking out on YouTube and TikTok at the time, and maybe now that everybody saw that happen, they're all doing it. But, creatively, if you come up with a way to get discovered or whatever. I think if they see somebody doing very good on their own, chances are they're going to look for you. They're going to find you. You're not going to need that middleman to get you solicited or whatever, you know, to shop your songs. I had somebody. I'm sorry. I had somebody like came to me about that, and they're like, "Your song." My friends were part of a label, something, something, and I want to send you a contract because they want to they want to sign you for something. I was like, well, tell me what they had to say. He's like, well, you got to sign this agreement first. An agreement was like he wanted 40% of any advance, right up, yeah, and then like a percentage of royalties for life and some shit. And I was like, all right, buddy, come on, like, dude, okay, yeah, who's your label, huh? Is it you? Get out of here.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up Jelly Roll because I absolutely adore him, and I think there is a couple facets to him. One, he came up during COVID, so I think that was a great time for a lot of artists to break.
Is that what it was? That makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, it was during COVID, and this is actually Bunny because she was in the sex work industry. She supported him, so there was, I'm not by no means, obviously I don't know their camp. I don't want to make any sort of like falsehoods, but when you have somebody supporting you, um, you know, that makes a big difference. There's still monetary value there. Um, Maybe not in the ways that I listed prior, but I think a lot of, and I just want to circle back to, I think what I'm saying is like a lot of the people that I know that are, I call them the upper echelon. Like I always joke and say like our team's like, hold on, I'm going to put our team's here and like we're here. So I think what they're trying to say is, hey, if you want to fast track your career, you should invest X amount. But I like what you're saying in the sense of just going out and doing it because that's, what Berg and I pride ourselves on is just going out and doing it because I always say like we are working class people. We are working class musicians. I think we're going to make a t-shirt that says that working class musicians because I think that's going to be the next shirt. But I think you're right though. I think there are people though who do break the glass ceiling doing stuff creative online and getting those numbers. But to circle into, and I'd love to get both of your opinions on this, even the numbers game is a lie. And even labels have come out and said, we bought our artists. I we are close to doing over 100 days on tour this year. This last tour, I went to every single promoter. I sat them down. I said, look, I got a question. And they're like, what? I said, do numbers matter? Like translating asses into the seats. 9 out of 10 times they said no. They said it's all fake. It's all bullshit. Now, granted, if you're bringing in like Metallica or Stained or even a mid-level band or high mid-level band, I would say like Seven Dust. And I'm putting Seven Dust compared to Metallica. I'm not throwing shade. Yes, the numbers match, but he said their biggest gripe are TikTok bands because they don't put asses in the seats. And you can buy it and it's not real.
Yeah, TikTok fans don't go to shows. They want to sit on their couch and watch them on TikTok.
You know, I probably have maybe paid for a TikTok campaign a couple times to see what would happen. And you get the views and you get some followers from it, you know, but that's it. And who knows what even counts as a view, or if it even counts. And because when I check the stats, it's like, oh, what, I got like a couple thousand views, on this day. But when I look, those views had tuned out like in the first 3 seconds. So what are we talking about here? Like, did they actually view it? Do they even know like three notes of the song? You know, like so you're right. It's bullshit to me. I I won't waste my money on that no more. I'm out here trying to find the different way. That's what my mission is. You know, like what else? Because everything that's out there right now, it's either oversaturated or it's bullshit. What is there to set you apart from everyone else?
And bingo. And I think that's the most infuriating thing because, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but when we've talked to labels, they're like, you got to get your numbers up. And I'm like, why? Numbers don't. We have toured with bands with sexy numbers that we have literally pulled more people. I'm talking venues, monetary value, to circle back to the beginning of the conversation of what you said, making the promoters happy, getting people, so they pay the guarantee and they're not taking a loss on your show, so that's kind of where I start to get, I don't want to say combative because that's negative, but I start to kind of get like, okay, you're throwing out a formula that has proven time and time again from promoters all over the country that just simply does not work. So why are we investing capital into something that doesn't work?
Yeah, and like what if you have like an Omega level band that has absolutely no social media presence whatsoever? You know, are you saying you're not going to play them? Like these guys are like top tier. They're just not tech savvy, you know? but some lesser knuckle dragger or whatever happens to you know, be very proficient at that. So they have the numbers, but the music is garbage. They're garbage. Like everything about it is just garbage. But they're the ones who get all access.
So I just I get very frustrated, I guess, and Nate and I have talked about it, with that system, and I've even had locals outdraw the nationals, you know what I mean? And the point is, and I think I'm going to quote one of my friends who's a producer in the industry, is like, you just never know in our industry what the formula is going to be. I think we all just need to be honest about that as artists behind the scenes in the forefront. And Randy, you and I have had extensive talks that, like, I think if the music's good and you want to take a chance on the band and they do the necessary steps to do their best to make the shows successful, then that's the group or the artist I feel worth investing in than somebody who has 3 million views and draws 5 people in Montana.
Nate, tell me something. Tell us something that that maybe you guys do that you think is something special that you do to get yourself out there that nobody's doing. Do you have something? What's different?
Our music, contextually wise, like a lot of our songs have like a serious connotation to it. We have a lot of our songs and our music is very serious, but we like to have a lot of fun live. So we kind of play off of that, like, hey, our music can relate to what's going on in the world today, but come to a show and see how fun we are live. You get that kind of like, this is what's going on in the world today, but I can let go of that for this 40 minutes, 45 minutes that these guys are playing. So we kind of like try to play that balance of like, our music is serious, but our live shows are fun to watch. So that's kind of like that's our shtick, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but that's kind of pretty standard. I guess what I to be specific, marketing for your band.
Oh, um, like we do like promotional videos, and we do like content wise, we try to put out like I said, our music is serious, but like our content, like every once in a while we like to put out stuff like us messing up on stage or like falling down and stuff like that. And
It's like a blooper reel.
yeah, like blooper reels, and we try to do like personal stuff. We mix in like music video content with like some face to face stuff. We kind of experiment a lot to see what works, and we kind of like try to like gravitate towards what's working and kind of leave behind what doesn't work. But it's hard to find that balance because one day we'll post like a clip of our music video and it'll do a lot better than like a blooper reel. So it's like, oh, let's start doing this then. So kind of like the market dictates itself, like what we should be doing. I guess in a way, you don't want to do that all the time. You want to set your own trends. You don't want to follow trends, but sometimes you feel like stuck, like you have to, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's the problem, I think.
Hey, this video got 5 million views. Let's do something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And in a tangent, that's kind of how I feel bands and their music is today. Staying in a safe space and afraid to like get out of the box and do something unique and original because Bad Omens has this song or sound and they are blowing up. So we need to have that sound if we want to blow up. And if you try to have something polar opposite, you're not going to blow up or nobody's going to, whatever. And it's just crazy. Like everything with people, short attention spans, like it's so quick, and it almost, like I said, like when I look and it's like I'm on TikTok, if I pay for this ad and it tells me they only listen for 3 seconds and then they tune out. So you literally have to catch their attention in the first 3 seconds. Like what kind of people are these, like why is it so hard? Like there has to be something about that, and somebody needs to figure out like how to work that. Like how do you do a song that gets somebody in 3 seconds? Or a video, if you match a video to the song or something for musicians. I think if you crack that, that's one way to get the attention and break out and actually do something good with the socials. Because having a million streams on a video and you're not showing anybody the stats because they say that they tuned out in 3 seconds. Well, okay, what? Why did you want those 1 million streams so somebody can look at you and be like, "Well, these guys are the shit." But then they might think that, and they'll never even listen to your song.
Yeah, a lot of that though, it goes both ways too though, because hype creates hype. If that makes sense, like if if someone sees a band that they like, or they're scrolling through and they see, oh man, I like this song, and then they click on that song and that song has 1 million streams on Spotify versus 1,000 streams on Spotify, a lot of people are going to see that and be more hyped about that song because the mass amount of people that are already hyped into it, they want to jump on that train. I've noticed that a lot too. Like when a song or a band starts getting hyped, people gravitate more towards hype because they want to jump on that train, if that makes sense. Once you cross that line, it's a lot easier because people want to be involved in something that is going big fast, if that makes sense. I've seen that happen a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's like a psychological thing, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. The only problem is if you have those 1 million streams and then somebody listens to your song and it's garbage, then you blew your first and only chance with them, to gaining them as a fan. And it's like, do you want that?
Yeah, you can definitely tell too. Like if you see a song go from 0 streams to 1 million streams in a week, and then you get like 1.1 million streams over, it goes an extra 100,000 streams over the next month or so, and you know that that was like created hype, if that makes sense, for sure.
And I think the audience is getting smart because they think if you see 1 million streams and 20,000 monthly listeners, the math doesn't add up. It's the same thing on Facebook. If you have 50,000 followers and 12 people are engaging in your post, the math's not adding up. So as the other end of the artist, you're kind of like you said, you had your one shot. It's like Eminem, you had your one shot and you blew it because now you're not getting the engagement, or you don't have the content or the capital to continue that wave of those kind of numbers. And I don't listen, I've toured with a lot of bands that heavily bought their stuff. I'm not throwing shade at them. Like I get one of them heavily botted and they got signed to a label. But here's what happened after they got signed to a label. One of their, we'll just say songs got pulled off of Spotify
Oh, they cheated.
and they lost it. So these are, well, and I know a lot of bands that take that for, and I don't fault them. I get it because you're just trying to get that carrot like everybody else. But I think like our personal stance, and I don't know what you guys feel, but for us, it's just like we are just going to invest in ads. We just do ads. That's it. I don't pay for Spotify services. I don't, we just do ads and that's it. And if it,
Well, with Spotify's,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, please, no, please finish.
I was just going to say, and with that, that always spikes our numbers. Like our number one trending song on Spotify is Cellophane. It's almost at 150,000 streams, and we didn't pay for it. And for an independent band, that's a big accomplishment. I know that that's not.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you. I know that's not like attractive, like in the grand scheme of things, but thank you. But it was just ads. That was it. We did 4 months of ads, and we were done. But please.
Yeah, because I think if you pay for the Spotify services, you're kind of throwing your money out. I mean, like if you go directly to Spotify, right? Because they might give your song a boost or a marquee or whatever the other thing was called that they put out that you can use, where they show people your new songs came up, when you load up. But your numbers will go up, but it's temporary. And then it's like, oh my God, I have like, several thousand new people listening, active listeners or whatever. And then that's it, they're gone. And then what do you have? What's your return on that investment? Nothing. They came and listened, and that was it. Granted, it's harder. Like every year, I make a new playlist. So best of 23, best of 24, right? And so when the bands I follow, the bands that I like, put out a banger, it goes into the playlist. So we're talking my favorite bands and these new songs that I'm totally hyped over, right? They go in this playlist, and then I probably never listen to them again because there's new stuff coming out all the time. So you're going to put all this time, energy, money into trying to get people to save your song or put you in their playlist or get new people to stream you or find you. But because of how much content is uploaded every day, like at least 10,000 songs a day is something I heard. uh
I think it's 150,000 songs a day on Spotify.
this is where we're at now. It's so much out there. Like you don't have, somebody doesn't have time to keep going back. You really have to, like, I mean, you have to be like the new Fallen in Verse album or something, where people are going to have you on repeat because of who you are, your stature, your position in the hierarchy of the industry. Everyone else, it's like, oh, you got your one shot, and if this wasn't like the song of the year, you're going into the folder, and they're going on for next week's releases. So I think that that's like money down the drain, kind of, in my opinion.
No, you're right. We ran a Spotify campaign ad for 3 months, lost so much money on it. And we're, our formula is we're better off touring, releasing a single, and investing YouTube and Facebook and Instagram ads. That's our formula. It might not work for somebody else who's watching this. I've known bands that have been successful on TikTok or successful on Spotify, but I agree with you. Spotify was a waste. We dropped 1,000 as soon as we come home from tour. We always drop in listeners every time we come home from tour, but then we spike another 1,000 or two when we're back out on tour. So I completely agree with you, 1,000%.
Yeah, we did a Spotify campaign too, and we saw our for our most recent release, and we spiked up like 1,500 monthly listeners, and then after it was done, it they all were basically gone. We only gained maybe a couple hundred that stuck around to save our song on a playlist or whatever. And most of the time, those people that are listening to that music when it pops up on their daily plays or whatever, they're not even paying attention. They're working. You know what I mean? They're at work and they got music on in the background. So you get that stream, but how many of those people are actually listening to the song? You know what I mean?
And how many people, most of them, they're not like us, where we are looking at every song in detail, like, oh, this artist, like, artists, like most people know sports stats, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's how it is for me. It's like, I don't know sports stats. I know band stats. Like, I know about the band members and when they joined a band and what instruments they played, what songs they wrote. You know what I mean? Band stats. But musicians are like that. Yeah,
But that's super cool though. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, for somebody like yourself to be a fan of a band, I think that would be really cool, because you know everything, and that's really exciting.
right. But the average listener isn't like that though. Like they don't know shit about bands or probably don't aren't interested like that. So he's right. Like they're gonna be working, they're gonna be in autopilot mode. Just something's in the background, some ambience, you know, not like, oh, this is so and so band or this is whoever. I need to follow them. I need to see what's going on with them. They just want music, which makes it even harder.
That's how Spotify works. They put your music in front of people that are listening on Spotify at that moment. But like I said, they're probably working or they just have it on in the background. That's what we get a lot better engagement from like Facebook and Instagram ads because if someone's scrolling through Facebook and they see our song pop up and they're like, "Oh, this song sounds pretty good." They're going to stop what they're doing and click on that song to listen to it. So you're catching people that are looking for to listen to music at that moment, not just having Spotify on in the background, and you're getting 1,000 monthly listeners for that month, but 100 of them actually listen to your song because, like I said, they're working or they're doing something. They have it on the background.
Yeah, and your baseline monthly listeners, that those are your organic followers. So those are the ones that are going to be there. You like what you said, Nate. It's like, oh, we put some money into it. We get, went up like 1,000 monthly listeners or something. By the end of the month, I'm back down to wherever it was before the thing. So what did I gain from that? Where Zoe is talking about putting out ads and stuff, I think that might be a better investment.
It works for us.
Yeah, for sure. Like she does. Yeah, it works for us too. Because like I said, when a Facebook ad or Instagram ad, if someone's scrolling through Facebook and you can be very intuitive and down to like demographics and like what people are interested in. So you can put bands that you sound like in that genre, and it'll pop up, and people like someone's scrolling through Facebook and your music video pops up. If it catches their eye, they're going to click on it and they're going to put their attention into that. It's not like that on Spotify. It's in the background. So you're gaining real listeners that way.
Randy, to circle what you said about buy-ons. Nate, do you have any well, no, actually, I genuinely, if it's okay with everybody, I'd love Nate to take this because I want to know your experience for you guys at your level, like what you've had to maybe buy on or not buy on to, and what if it was worth it for you.
Yeah, we had an opportunity last year to buy on with red jumpsuit apparatus, and I think it would have came down to like I want to say it was 350 a show for 10 shows, which is actually in my experience on buy-ons that's a pretty decent price because I've heard and seen like $10,000 buy-ons for 5 shows is fucking ridiculous. The only problem with that was it was on the West Coast, so the at that time we just didn't have the capital to be able to do it, and if you're going to go on a tour with a bigger band and play in front of their fans, you need to go back to that area within an allotted amount of time to make it worth it. So we would have had to go back to the West Coast a couple months later, and we just didn't have the funds or the ability to do it at that time. I wish we would have, but we didn't. But I'm not opposed at all to doing any kind of buy on if it makes sense for your band. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like there's a lot of promotions agencies out there that will like, hey, give us $5,000 and we'll do this for you and we'll do that for you. And 9 times out of 10, those things they do for you is just having their contacts. So you're paying somebody $5,000 and then they go find you a tour and they're like, hey, we got this tour for you, but it's $10,000. It's like, oh, goddamn. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely not opposed to it. We plan on doing it in the future if we have that opportunity to, if it makes sense. If it makes sense.
First of all, are you saying that you have done that?
No, I haven't. I've personally not bought onto anything yet. I mean, we've played like opening slots and support slots for bands where we had to sell tickets and we had to sell a certain amount, but it was never like a buy on thing. Like early on in the Drusky days, they would give you a minimum that you had to sell, and if you didn't sell that many, then you had to cover the difference. But and we've done a couple shows like that, but we've never had any trouble with with covering, the minimum. We just bust our ass and sell the tickets. You know what I mean?
What about you, Zoe? You ever do a buy-on?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so like what? Do an example. Like, give me an example. Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. So I'll give you actually two different examples. So, first and foremost, we bought onto Rockfest. Most big festivals you have to, obviously unless you're at a certain level. But I will tell you, we made return on investment and then some.
See, that's what I was wondering. It pays for it, right?
It's got to make sense. Yeah.
So, yes, absolutely. Festivals. Yes. Our first buy on we ever did. And I don't think I feel like I'm not a fair testament because it was literally the tour from hell. Because we absolutely lost our asses on that tour, but it wasn't due to necessarily the tour. It was due to our bus kept breaking down. You know what I mean? Like we had a fatality on that tour where like, yeah, where we had to basically get our stuff shipped across. So we came home probably about $25,000 in the hole. Um,
That's enough to kill a band. I can't believe you guys are still going after that. That's a testament to what you guys are doing.
I can't believe that Berg and I choose to do this willingly. I told you we're not well. But I would say this past tour, a lot of my friends who are on national touring band levels have told me to not do buy-ons. Because if you break it down financially, let's just go to both of you and say, okay, I'm going to put you on tour with Couch because I don't want to say, if there's a band out there named Couch, I'm sorry. I'm putting you on tour with a band named Couch. You're going to pay me $10,000. Okay. So we'll break it down to, X amount of shows. You're playing, 450 a night. Okay. Now it's 450 a show a night. Now let's think about the financials. You have to think about, where are you sleeping? How are you eating? You're not getting paid for shows. How much merchandise? What if you run out of merchandise? Then how do you get merchandise back, to whatever area you guys are? You have to sustain. So not only are you paying $10,000 to this camp and they're eating well, they're fine, but you now have to worry about, where am I sleeping? Where am I eating? Do I have enough money to sustain? What if I lose on that show? What if that show actually doesn't draw? What if two weeks of shows doesn't draw? Is it worth the financial risk? And that's why I always encourage bands. I think we get seduced by names where we're like, oh, you can go on tour with said band and it's only X amount of dollars. And bands are like, yes, yes, please, please. But, and it's not to throw shade at the bands that do it. I mean, good on you if you can charge other bands to go on tour with you. But I think you got to look at the financials. Like Berg and I had a long heart to heart, and we were like, we want to make ourselves money. I don't want to make other bands money. I just don't. I mean, unless it was somebody like, if Evanescence came to me and was like, yeah, give me 50K, I'd be like, okay, Berg, you have to sell plasma on the internet. I don't know. We got to find the money. like,
Bone marrow here.
yeah, I was like, we'll sell something. Right? But I think you got to see if the band, number one, is drawing, because some of the bands that my friends have paid astronomical amounts, we got the same attendance at shows. Some of these legacy bands and some of these other bands that are charging astronomical buy-ons. So I just tell each band to always think of the financials. To touch on your point, numbers, business, financially, can I do it? Can I, because sometimes people are asking for people's, I don't know, 4-month income in the matter of seconds.
It's got to work for you. It's got to work for you personally and for your band. If it doesn't, then there's no, you should not be doing it for sure. You shouldn't just be throwing money just to throw money. Think about what you can do with that money if you don't do it. If it's $10,000 to buy on, yeah.
Well, that's my point. I'd rather take that 10,000, run a good ad campaign, get a really good single and a great music video and do my own tour. Do you know what I mean? And make myself money than to line somebody else's pockets. That's not to say that in the future we might not. I'm not going to ever put it off the table, but as of right now, we get buy on opportunities all the time. But to Berg and I were like, it really has to make sense, and it really has to be able to put asses in the seats. And Polestar is a great way to cross reference, because we've even counter offered tour numbers, because we'd be like, you want X amount, hold on, time out, this week you only drew X amount of people, so I can't justify spending $750. You got to fight people with facts, you know what I mean? So I would just rather make ourselves money at this point in our career, I guess is what I'm saying.
The way I look at it is if a band needs that money that you're paying them to tour, then they're not worth going on tour with. You know what I mean? If they're relying on that money to be a source of their income and not just to add extra, hey, we can get this band to come on tour with us. It'll be an extra, $5,000 we can throw towards marketing. You know what I mean? If it's a band that's actually relying on that money to get gas to the next place or to in any form or way, then more than likely it's not worth it to do it. But if you're getting an offer from a band that you know is going to put seats in, and you know that your music is going to resonate with their fans, and it's at a price point that you can afford, or you think that you're going to get an ROI out of it, then by all means do it. But if it's not worth it, then you're just throwing money down the drain for sure. And if you can't go back to those cities a few months later, then exactly. Why would you pay X amount of dollars to go tour in Canada and then not go back 2 or 3 months later? You just lost all those people you played in front of.
And that money.
Yeah, exactly. You might get them online. They might follow you online, listen to your songs on Spotify, but they're going to be like, I haven't seen this band in a year and forgot about it. Forgot about you. It's all about going back.
Yeah. And the live experience is so important because there's so many bands that I didn't even like until I saw them live, you know? It changes everything about the way you listen to the song after you see it live, especially if it's a good show, you know?
Yep. I was like that with Nothing More. Like I like their music. They're a pretty good band. If they were on the radio or on my Spotify, I would listen to them. But when I saw them live, god damn it, I can't. I listen to them every single day now because they put on such a great show live. You know what I mean? And that's we rely on our live shows too because like I said, our music has a very serious context to it when you listen to the lyrics. But when you come see us live, you know, we're jumping around, we're high energy, we like to have fun in between songs, we like to interact with the crowd, stuff like that. So you get a whole different feeling live for sure.
Yeah, it's important.
Nate, you still good on time?
I actually just lost track of time. I'm going to be late for rehearsal. Just realized that.
No. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good. I love having conversations, man. I love it. I'm sorry, but I do have to go now that you say that. They're going to be mad at me.
You want to tell people where to find you at?
Yeah, you can find us at a show. Come to a show.
Social media handles.
No, we're on Spotify. Yeah, we're on yeah, just we're if you go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, just put in Theriaca official. Whatever platform you're on, just put in Theriaca and we'll be the first one that pops up. Theriaca. Check us out. Come see us live on September 5th in Wheeling at the Waterfront Hall.
Great band too, and such a great group of guys. And I'm not just saying that because you're on here. Like you guys are really doing good work, and you should really champion that.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. That means a lot coming from you because I look up to you and your band for sure. You guys are out there.
Oh God, we're a mess, but thank you.
You guys are out there. You guys are out there doing the thing, man. Always on the road, always playing shows. You're busting your ass, and as a musician, I appreciate seeing that for sure. Because there's a lot of bands out there that try to take the easy road out, and you guys are definitely not doing it. You're doing it the right way, from a musician.
No, we like to suffer. No, have a good rehearsal. Tell the guys I said hi, and I hope they're well.
I will do. Let's get on a show before the end of the year.
Oh yeah, I know, Nate. Hey, if you can find us a Wheeling or Pittsburgh show, I'm serious. Let me know. I'll message you privately. We could talk about this later.
Cool. Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. Yeah.
See you guys later. Nice to meet you. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Come here.
Yeah.
Switch out with me.
What are we talking about?
Well, your experience with, I want you to, because you're more the numbers guy, your experience with Bions and your thoughts on them.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Zoe touched on this. Does it make sense to the band that you're going out with? First off, numbers wise, I mean, she ran the numbers. I mean, if you're investing X amount of dollars into going out on a band, where are you playing at? How much exposure are you going to get from this? If you're paying $10,000 to go out, and it's a four band slot, say, going out for 2.5 weeks, you're playing the curtain jerker. You know, how many people are in there actually paying attention to you? How many people are just trying to get their spot? Are you selling enough merch every night to justify the means to get you to the next show and come home so you're not in the red? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So sorry. But you just have to be careful. I mean, but then again, if you want to go out and you want to do, I tell every band, your level of success is your level of success. If you want to go out and do this stuff and you wanna do those buy-ons, you have the capital for it, by all means go do it. But I like living like a nomad out of a van for 5 weeks at a time. So, but no, I mean, yes, and what opportunities are presented to you? I mean, like she touched on it, like these bands, do they have the numbers? Do they have the gates? And all that information's out there for bands of that level that you can go do these researches for yourself. But how many people do? How many people just see an opportunity and go, "This is my break. This is my break," and then they come home and they're disappointed and they end up quitting music because they had such a horrible time. They invested 2 months of they invested 2 months of salary to pitch in to get on the buy on, and now they're playing catch up, maybe losing their house, but they took that chance, and like you hate to see that happen. Sorry, her phone was not set on silent, so but yeah, I mean, sorry, the phone fell, but yeah, I don't know. Randy, what is your opinions on bions?
Uh, I I agree with you on that. You have to figure out the numbers to see if they work. I mean, if I if you would do any buy-ons, I would say the festival would be the way to go. A big music festival to get reach, you know.
Or you get that opportunity. You also book a tour up and you book a tour up to the festival and a tour back from it. Hit markets, maybe try to get into new markets. The fact that you're getting that festival rub, people move you up the ladder a little bit. And going up to that market, you can sell it that you are doing that stuff, and as you should, because this is an opportunity. This is your business. I mean, this is a expo. But also you never know what you're going to get sometimes. Where you're going to play, who you're playing before, or even on some festivals where they're running multiple stages at the same time, and you could be playing against Hatebreed. Who's going to go to your stage? These are all things that you'll experience, and some people, the realities of everything is, yeah, you're going to be let down more times than you're gonna celebrate. But you got to celebrate the small wins, especially being an independent artist. you know I got a $30 check for royalties. Woohoo! I'm winning. Yeah. Yet yeah, you put money in and you sponsor ads, you do everything, and your goal is obviously as a band to monetize and be attractive. you know you got to work the youth. You got to work every angle nowadays, which you have to run 7 phones and have 6 jobs, but it's worth it in the end. It's worth it. Like I think at the end of the year, I think we're edging on 90 shows this year. So, but yeah, do you play to some people? Yeah, you play. You have nights, but as long as you're boosting them and putting the ads out and working with the promoters, you can make your own success. But buy-ons, nah, I'm good right now. So sorry, guys.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Facebook and Instagram. Like, I've noticed over the last couple months, um, when say you guys post something about playing somewhere, and I want to and I want to share it, it's coming up as spam. It don't even post my post, and that's been happening to some bands out there too when they try to share their post, that it comes up as spam and they don't even post it.
You gotta pay.
Got to get that blue check mark. Um, Sad thing, but no, I mean, the algorithm is a fickle thing that a lot of people don't understand. I mean, we'll post a show where we're playing in a certain city. 2 days later, people will message, "Oh, you guys are playing here? Yeah, we were just there. Oh, I just saw the ad for it. How does that work? I don't understand it. It changes all the time. Facebook. If you listen to people, some people say Facebook and Instagram's are dead. You should be focusing on TikTok and YouTube because that's where people are focusing on now.
Like in my Instagram feed, I follow all my bands, and I'll be scrolling through, and then 10 ads before the next band comes up in my feed. And then Facebook yesterday sent me a message saying they're going to add more ads to my feed.
I think I got that. Yeah, I saw that. Stay away from Meta.
Yes, but you have to use it. But you have to use it to run your targeted ads, to run anything. You have to abide by guidelines and laws, and Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same company, which helps bands out with cross promoting and cross, posting where you can schedule shit like that. But, is it effective? I don't know. Do you trust the numbers on a show where it says, X amount of people are going? Do you divide that by two? How do you determine that stuff? As a promoter, it's difficult, but you need the foot traffic through the door. But how do you get that foot traffic? People are glued to their phones, but do they pay attention? That's the question. Are you giving them something that deems that's worth their $15 or whatever for that night, a babysitter? You have to make it worth it. You have to build your product. And I hate to, like Nate touched on it, this is a business. So you have to figure out all these ways to market your own self. But how many people actually, is there training videos out there for it? No, I don't know. But you kind of have to play around with it and figure it out yourself. I mean, to get yourself in front of people. I mean, what generation uses Facebook? What generation uses Instagram? Now you're playing a generational game with advertising. Who do you appeal to? You got to sit here and learn CapCut and video editing and everything else to run, anything on TikTok, and Twitter or X, whatever. Seems like it's a dead platform. So what do you do? What do you do? Do you go the old school? Do you go back and try to develop street teams again like they did in the late 90s, early 2000s? But then you need to give incentive as an independent band. What incentive can you give besides t-shirts and stickers and things like that to get people to want to work for you? Because heck, I don't know, people want to work anymore.
You gotta pay.
Yeah, you got to pay them. I mean, that's another expense. And then if you're running it as a business, if you pay somebody more than $600, you have to 1099 them. So now you're looking at charging somebody an income tax through the federal government as a band on an independent level. What do you do? Keep pushing or you fold?
Keep pushing.
Yes, of course you keep pushing. Why? Because yeah, I'm missing a few imbalances. It's fun. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, Randy. I don't know the answer to that. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there that has Meta figured out, and there's a whole team of people that you can hire to run your Facebook feed. So that stuff is right there. But as an independent band, how do you afford that? You know, make sure that your music is available, accessible. You have a great recording. You have something that people want to latch onto. But then again, you get blocked by an algorithm. How do you get around it? You don't know.
Become a hacker.
Yeah, yeah. Or go on Fiverr and figure out how to hack something. I don't know. But yeah. So on that note, I mean, what's your thoughts on Facebook and Instagram, Jem?
Matt,
Matt?
Is my name not on there? Everyone else's name is on their thing.
it says Chem Empire.
Oh my god. How do you even change that? It's Matt. That's I've been called like three different things today so far.
Sorry, I see Chem Emp.
Chimp. I'm a chimp. Chimp.
Chimp. Yeah, we all are if you believe in the evolutionary theory. But
I don't know. I do different things that have worked for me so far. I like, okay, so I've been a business owner for like 15 years. So I have like the marketing experience and things with like SEO and stuff. And so I also have been doing music for like, 25 years or whatever. Never like serious or anything. And yeah, I'll put out songs and, I've played shows or whatever. But it is a business. And now like my kids are grown and I'm like, oh, I got time to do stuff. And, do I want to take this somewhere? I got more money in my pocket. Don't got to buy all their snacks or whatever. So it's like, okay, well, how can I take what I know and apply it to this? And something I got good at was, figuring out ways around things. Uh, okay, so how am I getting shafted by Facebook? How can I work around it? Same with all the platforms. I mean, even Twitter has, or X has some value. It's not even a dead platform. There's still a group of people who cling to it, and it's like last breath that there's always gonna be somebody you can grab. And it's like what I say in sales or whatever. You're not going to get everybody, but you won't get anybody if you're not pitching the sale. And so maybe you get one out of every 10, but you have to throw it out there to the 10. And same with like X, you got a smaller demographic, but still there's a number, and you might grab a percentage of it. Something I do, so you talk about the old school street team thing, which I've been thinking about that. And I wouldn't, for me, I would just do it under the table out of my own personal expenses because it's just me anyways, you know. Um, but like, say maybe you buy somebody a pass, or two people a pass to Sonic Temple or something, And then what I have is I have these little, I don't know if I have one around here, but little square cards. They're like about this big. They fit in your pocket. They're QR codes to your song, whatever you think is your going to get them in 3 seconds song. Just pass around to people. Just every time you see someone, boom, 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 boom. To the point where I've been on, I'd go online and there's somebody I don't really know. Their comment is just found this band. I don't know anything about them. All I know is somebody gave me this card at the show. Now I can't stop listening to this song. It's my new favorite. So it's like, okay, how many people are doing that? Well, it's like I did it at Sonic Temple actually, and nobody handed me anything. Nobody promoted their band. There was no flyers being passed out. There was nothing. And okay, maybe there's a rule that says you can't do it, but you still do it. Do it until they tell you not to do it.
I mean, how many times have you gone to a concert where there is somebody that's like, you know what, I'm gonna go hand out or try to sell a CD to people, like, hey, my band's kind of like this. I mean, I've seen it a bunch of times at Starlight, but sometimes you have to do guerrilla tactics work. They do.
Yeah, yep. And that's great because somewhere like that, where there's 10 to 20,000 people all in one spot, not going anywhere for the whole day, that is your target demographic. The bands that are playing on the stage are kind of like what you're going for. If you're like the rock band or whatever, or metal, this is your demographic. These are your people. What a better opportunity. I see nobody doing stuff like that, but I do see people making TikToks. It's like, what are you gonna get out of that? Because the people who are on TikTok, they need that like quick dopamine fix. They need that, they have that ADHD or whatever it is that keeps them like having a, oh my God. I, we have this, yeah, we get, what do we call it? Doom scrolling. We call it here in this house, doom scrolling. It's where you're in the middle of something, you're trying to get something done, and you have to look at your phone for a second to pull up something. And then you all of a sudden end up on social media scrolling, and then it wastes like a half hour of your day, doom scrolling. You get caught in it. And that's all it is.
I've done it for hours some nights, and you look up and you're like, where did the night go?
Right. It's rough, man. There's no productivity in that.
But also now, you're seeing a rise of people that do. blow up on TikTok, that do go tour the country or go into places and are making decent money doing it, but does it resonate in the area where they're playing? Like, sure, you got 1.2 million whatever, views on your video, but is that in Davenport, Iowa, for say?
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback on my music, but it's from people overseas. It's like, well, I'm never going to play for you. Like, why am I being thrown over there to that audience? You know, like, is it because it's easier to grow my numbers if I do that? You know?
I don't know. It's crazy. We have a following in Australia. I priced that out, what it would cost to get over to Australia, and yeah, no, I'd have to sell a kidney. But like we had a lady come up to our show in Ohio saying, "Hey, my friend from Australia really loves your band, said we should come check you out." And I went, "That's interesting." You know what I mean? Like how is but then again, with the web, you don't know who's all watching it. All you see is the end of the year, your Spotify reports and where you're hitting. And you got to say to yourself, how can I get there? What's it going to take to get there? And to do a European tour, yeah, would I go to that theater right now? I don't know. But it's crazy how what your reach is, but also you can make money off of that. But as a performer, you want to perform. You want to play. You want to play. You want to feel that vampiric energy, getting it back from the crowd, not just the reward from online numbers.
Right. I'll tell you something that I'm seeing right now, and it's probably an unpopular uh, Ronnie Radke, right? Okay. So what he's doing is now that he's got everybody's attention. He's funneling you to his merchandise. Have you seen what he's doing with his merchandise right now?
Oh, the country merch that sold out 3 times over in less than a day.
Do you see the latest one that he just did?
No,
The unhappy meal. It looks like a happy meal, and it comes with like I guess like you get an unreleased song, but then like you collect them, and there's like at 3 or 4 unreleased songs, and there's all this stuff to it. They're $100 a pop. You don't know what you're gonna get. The point is, he went viral, and then he's like, all right, how do I get this to become profitable? He's not getting it from his streams. He's getting it from his merchandise. He's funneling everybody over to that. It's like, all right, like whatever he's doing, whether he's really trying to piss people off or it's just part of the show, because obviously outrage gets attention. So he's doing his niche, and then he's like, all right, tours and merch.
that's how artists make money.
Yeah, but finding like the way that works for you. It can't be like what everybody else is. Because who else is doing unhappy meals? Or you know what I mean? Who else is doing that at that level?
Well, he just basically found a way to market a mystery box to people in a different way. How many clothing companies, how many people sell mystery boxes online that people go, all right, I'll give you $100. Let's see what comes in the mail.
Well, he's touching on like a lot of nostalgia.
Oh, yeah. So is Ice Nine Kills. Have you seen an Ice Nine Kills show? I mean, like it's like watching. It's like the South Park episode with the member berries.
Yeah,
It's like remember the '80s. Seriously.
yes, and that does it. And Ice Nine Kills has like their niche is like sweet. I like what they do. Yeah, I love horror stuff already, but just taking what they do and they're like, all right, well, how can we make this like a show? Not just music, like our own unique show. It's like, all right, how many bands are doing that show? You know what I mean? Like nobody. A lot of the bands in the past, you know, I mean, go way back. We're talking like Kiss or Iron Maiden, Pink Floyd. move forward, we can talk about like, well, I don't know about like Metallica, but like when I grew up, it was Marilyn Manson. Like his shows were top tier, like A tier, you know? Like you would see that.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah. Or I just went to see a couple years ago, I saw Rammstein when they were on tour. And I mean, I saw that. That was A tier. It's like nothing touches that. So when you see a show like that, and then you go see some other shows that aren't doing anything at that level, you kind of feel underwhelmed when you really shouldn't, but you can't help it, you know? And it's because I just think more people should be doing stuff like that. They're not going to be able to do it at that level, but I think that you need to think about my show has to be more than just the music because all we have is the shows. We don't have we don't get paid for record sales and all that anymore. We have to take it to like that next level.
How do you take a show for like where we're at, like a mid-level touring band, national touring band? If you really, like how do you adapt that to every show, every stage, every night? Like how do you take a show like that? I mean, hell, Timu wants to sell me flamethrowers every day, but
Who said it has to be expensive though?
yes, but you also have to look into how do you build something like that and what do you develop, and then what if it flops? Then you have to throw everything away that you've worked hard for, and now you have to start over again. So yeah, that's just really the conundrum that you just have to find what works. Like I mean, for example, I mean I went to see Ozfest back in the day. Rob Zombie was on the secondary stage without all the gimmicks and without all the props and everything, and you're like, okay, it's a rock metal show, cool, but you put him on that big stage with all those props, and you're like, yep, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Zoe was blending something, but the dogs were going nuts. But yeah, I mean, yes, you do have to develop that show. I mean, and like, how do you have to learn. Like, I'm looking into right now lighting and things like that to just build that, those scenes and build things to help enhance the show. Like that is something that you have to evolve so that way you're bringing a full fledged product. Exactly. You're bringing a full fledged product to somebody, like, but I'm going on next Tuesday to go to the Divorced Dad Rock show, with Stained and everything else, and like there's no high end value stuff there. It's guys playing their instruments.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But you're going. They've already become staples in the scene. So
Yes, yeah, I mean that's my biggest thing. Like I've sat down and talked to. We've had a couple we've had shows, where people had to sell tickets to play a show with us in Michigan. And I was taken aback at first. I was like, what? Okay. But these kids were like, they were asking me for my feedback, and I watched their set, and I said, number one, guys, my first thing was look the part. You want to be, no one wants to see Joe Schmo just getting out of his blue collar job walking up on stage. You know, you shouldn't be up on stage in a pair of khaki shorts. You want to play metal? You want to play metal? Look the part.
yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, it is. Hey, let me tell you something, and you can give me some feedback. What you think? Okay. Do you think that it's better, um, or do you think that you have a better shot if you stay anonymous versus nowadays everybody's putting everything about their life out there on the internet right away. You leave no mystery to the band. There's everything about it right up front. You know what I'm saying? Where if you have somebody like in recently, I think of like Sleep Token, obviously, because nobody knows anything about them, and I feel like that creates a lot of you know piques a lot of interest. Bands like Slipknot, before everybody started finding out who they were, just it's anonymous. Even like some of the people, like you say, Rob Zombie, you don't really know much about the guy. I mean, he makes movies and stuff, but back then it's like, oh, here's this horror movie dude. He's got a lot of crazy shit happening in the background. He's like a ringmaster of circus kind of thing. You know, I wonder what he's like in real life. Is he like that? Like, ooh, you have this like mystery to it. Like, do we need more of that?
I mean, I'm you're asking the wrong person on that because I hate social media, and I'll say that. I mean, yes, for the band, yes, I have to use it, but for my own personal life, for my personal life, no. Like, but really, my how and you hit on it. Slipknot, totally, no one knew who they were. The other band that worked for was Tool. No one really knew anything about those guys until what 15 years into their career. But yeah, but recently, like you've seen Sleep Token come out. Too many sleep bands, but you see them come out and like they kind of broke the norm because if you listen to Octane for example, Octane most songs are what around 3 to 4 minutes. They come out with a 7-minute song straight out the gate. How many people do you see do that nowadays? Let alone get cleared for airplay. So and they came out of nowhere. No one knows anything about them until some girl posted their birth certificates online and got taken down. But you know that works. But I think it has to be. Is it an enigma? Maybe. But if no one, but people want to feel connected. They want to feel a connection, especially on a level where you're trying to grow. I mean, having if you're out playing a show, if you hide away and you're trying to grow, what's the concept? What's the perception of yourself going to be while you're trying to break into markets? They're asshole. They just hang out in their bus or they hang out in the back room. They don't talk to anybody. You do not develop a personal rapport. And I mean, I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy talking to people because I feel the art of the conversation has been lost in society. But like talking to people and them resonating with you and talking to them, hearing their story for 10 minutes out of a night, you just made somebody's night. You made their month. You could have made their year, So, like, and the only way that you can do, being keeping yourself out of that, I think you have to do it from day one. You can't just like randomly just then be like disappear and like adapt a whole new persona.
Right, right.
But I don't know. That's just where I guess that's my thoughts on that one.
Kind of feel like that when somebody comes out and instead of being like themselves, they're like a character for their on stage persona. I think drives it a little bit more with fans because it's like going to a movie instead of like going to a friend's like barbecue or something. You know what I mean? Like it's cool. It's always cool. Like I do like to see bands where I'm like, man, I could relate to that. Like we're talking. I'm like, oh, I know what he's talking about. Like, oh, I've experienced that. Like this guy's a real fucking person. Like me, Like this guy's great, But then at the same time, I'm like, oh my god, that guy's cool shit. Like say for example, the character of like Till Lindemann or something. The way he is, like, oh, this dude is crazy. He's out of his mind. Oh my gosh, like what is going on? Like he's not human. Like there's something wrong with him. You know, like there's an appeal to that too. Yeah, and people like become fanatics over that stuff. Like as we can see with Sleep Token. I do like their music. It's very good, but I think that there's a lot to their gimmick that helps push that.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that. But also like being a character, yeah, you have to take your normal life and ramp it up to 11. You know what I mean? Take it above. You have to be bigger. You have to be bigger. You have to be boisterous. You have to be outgoing. You know what I mean? And write music. And then also, if your music makes people feel stuff, and you combine those aspects, that's a winning formula.
I think what you should do, not you, but I think what someone should do is create a persona, but then instead of going online and advertising, pay somebody to not really advertise, but to go out there and start telling stories about like encounters or something. You know what I mean? start getting some shit out there. Some broke the rib and went down on himself kind of shit. You know what I mean? Just put something out there. Get talking. But it's not coming from the source. It's getting people talking.
Yeah, I mean, but but then you have to limit. Yeah, and then in that sense, if you have somebody else doing it, you can control the narrative. Kind of like how back in the day, before all information, they pushed the fact that Blair Witch movie was a found footage movie. I mean, and how many people ate that stuff up? I mean, I had a family member that I printed everything off, and he went and saw it, and he was scared shitless. So I mean, like, but with the amount of information that's out there, and if people really want to look, they'll find it. But then you have to really shut it down. There's so many avenues, but if you're just to have that persona, if you have it, you have it. You know what I mean? Some people have it. Some people need to find themselves. I think that's pretty much life in general.
Yeah, I met one time the singer of 10 Years, and he was kind of like I saw him on stage. This is about the time their second album came out. Uh, Divisions, I know. Is that what it is? Something. But anyways, he was just kind of like going bonkers on stage and just wilding out and just weird things he was doing and the way he was acting. And then he got off the stage and I talked to him for a little bit, like what you said, hang out 10 minutes of your time and that's everything for you, right? And, he was normal and talking about how he feels about the music industry and how he's standing up for some stuff or whatever. And it was cool. But, I'm like, man, you were really doing some stuff up there, but you're not like that. He's like, right. It's like, because when I go up there, because he said he was really like he wasn't trying to be a singer, and they pushed him into being a singer. He was self-conscious about it, and everyone's like, "No, you're good, you're good." He said, but he didn't believe it or whatever. And then eventually, he started building up the confidence. But if he gets into his persona or his character of whatever he's doing on the stage, that's what lets him get out there and do his thing. And then when he gets off, he's like a totally different, normal person. But he ain't gonna be posting his personal shit online. He's got that persona. And that's what works for him.
I mean, for everybody though, I mean that 30 minutes to an hour of performance, that's an outlet. That's an outlet. That's my therapy for that day. That's all my frustrations. That's out. Walk off. I'm back in business mode. Does my neck hurt? Yeah. Do I need a Planet Fitness massage bed at the end of it? Yeah. But you know what? It's worth it. Every damn minute of it. But you have to give people a show. I mean, it's a performance. And if you don't, you kind of have to look at it like that. Like you are performing, somebody is paying an hour's worth of their wages, or 2 hours, or heck, even some people, you know what I mean, to come see you and see your band. Give them something that's going to last. You know, give them as much energy as you're giving. What I mean, you're getting back. So I mean, that's just, or maybe I'm just nuts. I don't know.
Nah, yeah, well, maybe you got to be.
Yeah. Almost hit your fiance with your guitar a couple nights. Yeah, yeah, it's fun. Because she walks around with contacts in, and she has her whole persona and boots that will blind the crap out of you if the light hit them the right way. But yeah, she'll walk into a guitar head, and I'm like, don't hit her with it, don't hit her with it. Yeah,
Oh, that's funny. That sucks.
I'm like, no guitar throws tonight from me. So
Need the phone.
So, did you guys want to like wrap it up a little bit? Want to wrap it up?
yeah, because yeah, so it's always prepping dinner, and I don't know what she's doing in the kitchen, man, and there'll be stuff on the ceiling and whatnot, and it's always an adventure, guys. But Randy, thanks for having us on here.
Yeah, just hold on for a second. Uh, Matt, what do you got coming up for the fall and winter before we go?
Just working on some stuffs, working on some more songs. I put out 7 songs. this year, and that was just kind of the idea behind it was to just instead of promo everything with one song, I just got 7 quick ones done to have something out there to give like an idea of what range my sound is. So now I'm going to step back a little bit. Now that I have an audience building and I got some traction, I'm going to work on a short album or an EP and just sort of take my time on it now. And I'm in no rush, so I don't think I have like any release dates or anything coming up. But I'm working. I'm grinding.
Okay. And where can people get a hold of you at?
Just go to chemicalempire.com, and that's basically the link tree. So everything's on there.
I apologize for getting your name incorrect.
That's all right. Call me whatever you want.
No, but people botch my name all the time, so I do apologize, and I really try to be mindful with people. So I thought at the bottom of the screen, I thought somebody else called you by Chris, so I apologize. And now that I know, it'll be embedded in me forever. So,
There's no Chris at the bottom of the screen.
well, I think Nate said Chris, so I was like, oh, Chris, because I saw Chem, and I was like, I don't. But now I get it because of the band. I just, I was late to the party. I'm owning my wrongs. I apologize. You know,
Nah, nobody cares. It's all good. And I'll change it for next time if I figure it out.
I care. Unlike most people, I hold myself accountable.
I've been called worse, and I like it. So let's just don't worry about it.
Okay, so what does Reign of Z have planned for the fall and winter?
Randy,
Randy,
are you ready?
okay, so next week we're shooting a music video for the new single coming out that we're probably
Bad
going to
blood.
drop in
October.
October. But following week, the 19th through the 22nd, we're out with Julian K.
Which are members of Orgy, if anybody knows who the band Orgy is.
Yeah.
So we're out with them. We're supporting them on 4 dates. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, then we have Female Feature Fest in Erie on October 5th. And then we're out with Bullet to the Heart from October 17th to November 23rd. Or November 10th. Sorry, 23rd is the date they're doing by themselves.
Versus wishing that we were out till the 23rd.
Yeah.
In theory, we'll still be there.
But yeah, then after that,
Where are you guys at?
south of Pittsburgh.
Okay. Because you guys talked a lot about like Ohio and Michigan.
We do travel a lot up in there.
We just feel like we live there.
Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois,
We live there.
Midwest, we hit those markets quite a bit.
Awesome.
And where can people get a hold of you at?
Reignofz.com. All of our show listings will be up there, and all of our links are on there as well.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Randy, thanks for having us.
Thanks. And anytime you guys want to do something like this again, let's hook it up. We get on a topic about something if you're interested.
Yeah, let us know, Randy. Shoot us, because, we're going to be having some time in a van, and that gets boring some days.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Hey, it's good talking to you, and you had a lot of good information. That was great for you to share that. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.